You think you're attracting the wrong woman, but you're not. You're attracting women who match the emotional reality that you are living in. And this isn't luck, it's cause and effect. And I'm going to be talking about it in this video. Now, I want you to listen, and I want you to listen carefully. So, firstly, the reason why you might be attracting the wrong woman is because your internal state is the cause. Meaning, there is a cause, which then reflects into an effect. So let me explain a little bit. So let's say again, I know my drawing is just the best, so just bear with me for a sec. This is little you. And your internal state is insecure. And so what you might be feeling is that I am not enough. So what the cause of this insecurity, so let's just say this is the cause. I hope I haven't lost anybody yet. All right. And then your effect is that you are drawn towards women where you have to prove yourself over and over and over again. Because the effect matches the cause, situations that make you earn love. And so in a nutshell, your emotional state is the cause, and the woman that you keep on ending up with are the effects. And this lesson took me so long to actually not even understand, but to actually put it into use in my own life, which takes a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie, but once you do it, it really just shifts your reality on a whole new level. And Einstein said this quote, which I love. He said that you cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that has created it. Are we getting this? And this is exactly what dating is all about. And this is what I see men repeatedly doing over and over again. They are being the same person. They have the same patterns from their first girlfriend to now. This is like their 10th relationship. They're behaving in the same way. And until and unless you're conscious of this, it's not going to change. You're going to attract the same reality to yourself over and over again. So many of us, and I've definitely been this person before, are trying to fix our external reality by forcing, by chasing, by controlling, and none of these things are going to get us the result that our soul is yearning for. And I heard Wayne Dyer say this, and it really blew me away, and I'm going to butcher it, but he was telling a story of how there was this man, and he lost his keys in his house. But what he realized is there was no lights in his house, but there were these, the street lights out on the street. So what he did was he said, well, the lights aren't in this room, they're outside. So I'm going to go outside and look for the keys. And so he kept looking. And then his neighbor came and asked him, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm looking for my keys. Can you help me? And so he started helping him look for the keys. And then he asked him like, hey, where did you drop your keys? And he said, well, I dropped them inside my house. And he was like, well, why are you looking for them outside on the street? And he said, well, because there are lights out here. That's why I'm trying to look for them, because there's lights. I can see better. And so this is the best example where so many of us are trying to look for what our soul is desiring, but we're looking for it in all of the wrong places. And I've definitely been this person where I would seek external validation from people to boost my ego, to make me feel good about myself, to, drink, drugs, all these different things that we do to distract ourselves. And I also tend to use people to feel a certain way about myself. And that is not the way to go about it, because no matter how many compliments or how many, any sort of external validation that you get, it will never replicate what you truly are looking for, which is the love and acceptance internally. That love cannot be replicated by any other human being apart from yourself. And the thing with validation and numbing ourselves, it actually tends to work. But the issue, the downside is that it only works for a temporary amount of time, right? A week later, you're back at it again where you're like, why do I feel lost? Why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel this and that? It's because you're using a shortcut. You're using a hack. You're using a technique that is not designed to get you the result that you're looking for. Now let's look at what is causing you to keep attracting the wrong woman. And I really want us to take this in and understand this on a deeper level. Your nervous system chooses women before you do. Okay? So I'm going to draw a little bit of a ladder because I like to draw diagrams because I feel like that's the best way that I learn, and hopefully whoever's watching likes a little ugly diagrams that I'm drawing. As I'm drawing this, I want you to think of yourself and just analyze, where do you see yourself in this frequency pyramid, okay? So at the very, very bottom, we're going to call this chaos. This is where we have triggers, patterns, I'm going to lose out of space, and wounds. And by the way, I've been here for a very, very long time of my life. And so I know exactly what this looks like. But in 1 year, you do not understand the capability that you have as a human being. The amount of changes that you can make within 1 year is insane. You can change who you are, you can change what you attract, you can change your money mindset, like you can do so many different things and truly stop living in survival, which is what most of us live in. We live in survival mode, which is fight, flight, and chasing. And secondly is, I'm just going to write it over here because then you can't read what the hell I'm writing. Awareness. Noticing your triggers and choosing to respond. And then lastly is regulated. I was going to say calm, but I feel like people can misunderstand that and they think that they just need to be calm all day long, and that's not what it really means. But it's just that when you do tend to get triggered or frustrated or whatever it is, you then are easily able to get back to center. Okay? Sometimes we spend a lot of time in these wounds. We keep repeating it. We keep talking crap about this person. We're just in the mess. But when you're regulated, you have a bit more awareness, not a bit, a lot more awareness, and you're more conscious of other people, of what this world is all about, and you're not so quick to judge, you're not so quick to hate and, be in your resentment. And so when you're regulated, you're secure, and there's conscious love. And the sad truth about life is that majority of us will remain stuck in these two levels, and we will never find our way to these two other levels on top. The more that we tend to gain more awareness, more consciousness, we are able to be more open-minded when it comes to, mental health, just learning about these things. Just the fact that you're sitting and watching this video in your free time instead of watching porn or watching a movie or whatever it is, that just shows the universe that you're on your way to the reality of peace, of love, of joy, of bliss, all of those things that we're all dying to get to as souls. And unfortunately, this doesn't come with age. Okay, so a lot of people that are older, they might still be down here. All right, and there's people that are younger that might be up here, which is why, we reincarnate as souls. I mean, that's a whole other story. But I just want you to get a bit more aware about what I'm saying in this video. And the real reason why I make these videos is because I want you men to get into this top level, which is the regulated, secure version of yourself. Because that is when the secure feminine comes, and that is when you're able to attract a healthy relationship, even though you might think, oh, I don't need that right now, I don't have time for it, and all, these things. But if you really dive in deep into why you're saying these things, you might realize, hey, maybe, I just gave up on love because it just became too hurtful and I kept attracting the wrong people. And instead of actually just getting aware and gaining some knowledge, I tend to shut down and cut it all off and pretend that I don't need love and I don't need relationships. And I'm not saying that in order to be happy, you need a relationship. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is to be open to attract who you're meant to attract. Because a lot of the times we're blocking our own blessings. We're standing in our own way of prosperity and happiness and bliss. And if you're on the level of awareness, you tend to respond and not react, which is the biggest sign that you are growing as a soul. And that is when you're able to break patterns, not just by the way your patterns, but generational patterns, things that your dad and mom and grandma and whoever, they've been living a certain way. And so think about you not just breaking your patterns, but you're breaking a pattern for an entire generation, which is going to last, well, not last, but it's your legacy. And I know it might not seem like that big of a deal, but it really is. And if you are on the level of survival, you might be somebody who tends to chase, to prove, to control, a bit of triggered masculinity, if you will. And lastly, if you're on the level of chaos, you might be somebody who has unhealed wounds. You are, not wanting to change anything about those wounds. You just are pretending that it's going to go away one day, which it won't. Secondly, trauma-driven choices. Ooh, this is a big one. So many of us base our decisions in life based on our trauma. So basically, your trauma dictates your life. Like, think of how insane that is. The purpose of your trauma is so that you're able to transmute it into strength, into a story, into telling somebody about how horrible it was, but then you change your entire life and you made it. And if you're not able to do that, your trauma is going to not only hurt yourself, but it's going to hurt your family members, your children, the people around you. And that is what is going to lead you to inflict pain on other people, sometimes without even being conscious of it. And then lastly, chemistry. So many of us think, oh, this is what I kept on hearing as a matchmaker. I just don't find the chemistry. There's no chemistry. And what we fail to understand sometimes, because I've had some chemistry with some amazing people, and then they turned out not so amazing, okay? Maybe it just felt amazing because it was familiar pain. For instance, when I met my soulmate, we had amazing chemistry. Like, it was like, I can't even explain to you. It was just like, I was like, how can somebody talk to somebody in this manner and they've never met them before? It was just insane. But underneath it all, there was lying, some trauma bonding, some soul correction. And I'm going to go through this in another video. If you guys are interested in learning more about why we attract these different souls into our lives, let me know below, because you guys know I love talking about these things, so let me know. But that chemistry could actually just have a different connotation to it, and that's why I just want us to be more aware of just not basing a connection solely on our chemistry, because that is going to lead you down the wrong path, because it definitely did for me. The one thing that I want you to take away from this video is that your nervous system pulls towards what feels familiar, not what feels healthy. And that is why calm feels boring and chaos feels like chemistry. So many of my clients have come to me and said, I don't feel a connection. I don't feel a spark. That's something I keep on hearing. And sometimes it's just about, befriending somebody instead of just, this is all, I need the spark, I need the connection, all or nothing kind of energy. That is actually not the best way to think about it. Because when you think that way, what you're truly wanting is fast, fast, fast. You want it to, fast connection. I want to have someone get married soon. I want this, I want that. It's like you're not allowing the universe to let things flow. And that is why so many of my clients come and tell me, I don't feel a chemistry, I don't feel a spark. And majority of the times it is because you're not giving that person the time and attention that they deserve, because you don't feel that chemistry. And or because when you do meet that person who's super secure and stable in themselves, you might not feel a chemistry instantly. It could be a slow burn. And that is why I always tell people, if you go on one date and you're like, okay, it wasn't the best, go on a second one. If it is not a complete no, always give them another chance, because there's something there that you're trying to hold on to, and because you can't hold on to it, you just let people go. And sometimes it's okay to take your time instead of just building a connection straight off the bat. If your nervous system grew up with, let's say, for example, yelling and screaming and manipulation and all these kind of different things, then you then also will be pulled into a relationship, most probably, not all the time, but most probably something along those lines. Your first relationship, when you get married, that could happen to you, unfortunately. And because you're so used to that sort of behavior with your parents or your caregivers as a child, it doesn't feel chaotic to you when it happens in your adult relationship, because you're like, well, I'm just used to this, and this is how my parents loved each other. So, it's not that much of a difference. So it feels like home because you know how to deal with this devil. But if she was calm and regulated, you might think, oh, well, this is just boring. I'm not feeling a connection right now. Yeah, because you guys aren't fighting, screaming, yelling, the patterns that you are used to. And so now you need to regulate yourself and relearn what a healthy relationship looks and sounds like. If your nervous system grew up with unpredictability, you then will be pulled towards women who are avoidant. If your nervous system is used to needing to prove yourself, you then are pulled towards women who are going to make you chase. If your nervous system is used to emotional coldness, you then are pulled to women who don't reassure you. And so you might think that this is attraction, but it's actually a recognition of the pattern of the pain. And lastly, what is going to stop it? What is going to stop it is your response. I know, sounds so easy, doesn't it? But this is one of the most difficult things for us humans to do. This is the part that most men never learn. Life repeats the same woman until your response to her changes. Not your mindset, not your effort, but your nervous system responses. So anytime that you react, the cycle repeats. Anytime that you respond, and by the way, I forgot to mention, responding with love and awareness, not with hate and, all the things that we usually would respond with. So respond, which will lead to a rise in your consciousness, which is then going to allow you to rise energetically and lead you to attract the woman that is your perfect match. Okay, your perfect soulmate, your companion, whatever it is that you're looking for. And not even a relationship sometimes, but just peace and satisfaction and contentment with where you are in your life without being in survival mode and, attracting the same people over and over again. So for example, if she pulls back and you chase, you're then going to repeat the loop. If she criticizes you and you blow up, you repeat the loop. If she tests you and you shut down, you repeat the loop. But if you stay present and if you hold your frame and if you respond instead of react, you're going to break that entire pattern. And again, I said this in my last video, these lessons keep coming to us over and over again. So remember, it's not just going to be a one-off thing. You have to remain in this energetic field of responding instead of arguing and fighting back and, having hate and resentment in your heart, which is then going to lead you to attract that same person all over again. When your internal responses changes, your attraction changes, your type changes, your whole reality changes. So I urge you to stop blaming a woman and start understanding your state, because the version of you at the bottom of that pyramid will always choose chaos. If you decide to stay there, then you will. And the version of you that is at the top will naturally attract what is healthy for you. If you're ready to move out of survival and into regulated, conscious leadership, then I would recommend for you to apply for my private coaching. The link is down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.